Hey, what's up everybody? Dylan here from Iceberg TV. Today we're going to be checking out the Wysocki Bomb General. This is a very interesting disc because the future of Ricky Wysocki's career with dynamic discs has a lot of question marks surrounding it at the moment. And if Ricky decides to leave dynamic, I do believe that this mold will leave with him. He may not bring this mold to another company, but this mold will likely be discontinued when there's no more Wysocki Bomb with DD. So with that being said, I wanted to compare it to the Royal Strive, one of my favorite trilogy drivers, the Project Grip Grace. And I also have one of these cool super color Rives. Isaac Robinson's been really liking the Rive, and it will likely be his main distance driver this year with Latitude 64 discs. But I wanted to check out this Raptor Eye. It's a 12404. I'm expecting it to be way too overstable for me. Per usual, any of these like 03, 04 type drivers are just so overstable. Wysocki has said in the past that the different colors fly differently. So I'm gonna go into it with little to no expectations. Let's throw everything flat. We'll start with the things that I know how they fly. We're gonna throw the Strive here. Just nice and flat. We should see a nice turn in the mid-flight. If you've never thrown a Strive, I would say if you're a beginner to disc golf and you really wanna throw a 13 speed, that's the one you should very likely get. Has nice turn out of the box. As far as 13 speeds, wide rims go, it's super controllable. A lot more controllable than something like a Discraft Nuke. Now I've got the Project Grip Brace. Also a nice little pop up and turn in the mid-flight. The Project Grips I found were a little more stable than most other runs of the Grace, but that's just been my experience with it. And then this run of Rive, these are a little bit lighter weight. This one I believe is a 168. And this is one of the least stable runs of Rive I've ever thrown. And I wouldn't expect Isaac Robinson to be throwing these, but because I just think they're a little too understable for him. We'll throw this one flat as well. Definitely more stable than the Grace and the Strive, but not as stable as a normal Rive. And now we have the Raptor Eye Wysocki Bomb General. This is my first time ever throwing the General. Let's just go nice and flat and see what she does. Oh, that actually popped up a little bit. It definitely dumped harder than the Rive, but in the mid-flight, that General actually had some really nice like forward push to it. I wouldn't say that's a 12404. I'd say that's more like a 12.4 minus 1.3. That flew a lot straighter than I was expecting it to. Didn't necessarily fly straight, but you could see it had that nice little pop up in the mid-flight. Let's go grab everything and we're gonna throw it back. And I forget exactly what Ricky said regarding the colors of the Wysocki Bomb Generals, but I know he was saying like the green ones fly a certain way, the yellow ones fly a certain way, and he was bagging multiple Generals in different colors to get different shot shapes and flight characteristics out of it. Brand new disc, like third, fourth throw of the day, was able to get it to go relatively straight. It did have a good hard fade to the left at the end, but I'm actually really surprised at how that flew for me. I'm really excited to throw this thing a few more times. And this Rive right here was in fact the most stable of the bunch, which really surprises me. This thing, it's a Rive still, but it's not as stable as a normal Rive. And then we have the General here, which was also really stable. The General went just as far as the Strive and the Grace, which really surprised me. First impression, the General is definitely not like a max distance driver. It's like a workhorse driver. You punch it flat, you can hit your gap with it. It's gonna go straight for a little while, but it's never going to flip or deviate too much from the line that you put it on, and it's gonna just dump hard to the left at the end. Probably again, like a minus 0.5, probably not a full -1 turn, maybe like a 0.5 turn, just for the fact that it does kind of stand up straight for a little while. I want to throw all these again, but let's try and encourage a little more turn here, starting off with the Strive. So looking for some more like left to right moving action. Oh, okay. That Strive will flip on me if I let it. Just throw a cut roller almost into the woods. So not a great line for the old Strive. Now let's try the Project Grip Grace here. Definitely having a really nice turn in the mid-flight there, holding that angle perfectly. Quite a bit more stable than the Strive. Now this Rive, We just want to try not to throw it in the woods. This thing is an absolute beef dog. Actually hanging on to that shape nicely. Nice flight on that ride. Definitely got a better throw on that the second time around. Now let's see how the General does. I'm really curious to see how does she fly with a little bit of forced Annie. Gonna have a nice hard swing back to the left at the end. Perfect S-line disc. If you're someone who likes throwing like either dead flat or on a slight Annie, if you're like kind of like a Gannon Burr flex player, great driver. If Gannon was on Trilogy, he would 100% be throwing that disc. So I already picked up the Strive, which was a terrible, ill-advised roller. I already picked up the General. It went not quite as far as the Rive here, but the Grace actually went the furthest by a mile this time around. And any of these discs you can get over at discgolfdealsusa.com/icebergtv. You should use my storefront. The link to that is in the description below. It'll save you 10% on anything over at the website. Not only do you get a 10% discount, your order will also ship for free as long as you spend $50 or more. Let's give everything a forehand. It wouldn't be a proper Iceberg TV review if I didn't throw some flicks. I feel like the forehand is where I can really maximize, especially on these more stable distance drivers. Let's start off with the Strive, the flippiest of the bunch. I have almost no doubt in my mind that that's going to go like 50 feet farther than everything else. Might have caught some of that tree on the way through. That Strive absolutely bombs when I throw it just right. Now I've got the Grace here. It does have a little pop top on it. I've historically forehanded this disc pretty well. Oh, I slipped. All right, we landed it on the bridge. I absolutely just like tore 6 different things in my leg. That was a full-on slipperoni. That hasn't happened in a long time. Now I've got the Rive here. Then we have the General. Let's do a bit more of a force flex shot with these. Look how stable that Rive is. Beefcake. Curious to see if that rivaled the distance of the Strive. Then we've got the General here. I'm really curious to see if it's got that early stability where it'll actually fight out. I know it'll fight out once it slows down, but will it start fighting out in the mid-flight? That is a question. Oh, yes, it will. Look at that. What a driver. It's like Innova X-Cal meets Trilogy Plastic, except even a little bit more stable late in the flight. Still goes far. It's fast. It's still a driver, but it's just that perfect pro-level driver for people that are, you know, at least somewhere close to 500 feet that just needs something fast, mean, and reliable. It's almost like a faster Innova Max, but the Max is an 11 speed, and I think that's a 13. It's just like a wider Max. That's like the best way I can describe that disc. The Project Grip landed on the bridge. If it had gone in, it would have gone in the drink and potentially have been gone forever. So the General, I didn't really get an amazing throw on it for my forehand. I got a pretty good throw, but we're at the parallel to this bench here. Where I threw from is like way over there. It's about 410 feet-ish, maybe 420 to get where I got here from there. And then if you look just ahead there, you can see our pink Strive, boom, right there. And then where did the Rive land? Because I feel like I actually got the best line on the Rive. It's right there. So the Rive is just short of the Strive, but the Strive and the General went about the same distance. So this thing goes far just because it's so fast, but it's also just super stable. I think the side profiles that matter the most is the Rive versus the General. You can see they're quite similar, but the General definitely has a little bit more of a straight edge here, which is just something, it's just a common characteristic with like super overstable discs. This thing looks really, really cool. The Rive looks really cool as well, but they're not exactly the same. Pretty similar rim width, very similar across the board, but I do think the General is just a little bit more stable, but it also seems to go a little bit farther for me. But I think it's just got a really, really sharp and fast profile, so it really cuts through the air well. But anyway, if you want to support the channel, You can click the links in the description below. You can check out the Berg Sport V4, 20% off. Use my code, the link is in the description below. If you want these discs or any other discs, you get 10% off by using my link in the description below. Stay humble, live with gratitude. We'll catch you in the next one, and take care.